A spring storm bringing heavy wet snow combining with strong winds today. It's wreaking havoc on already weary Mainers. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being with us. I'm Amanda Hill.
And I'm Brian Yacono. From southern Maine to the mid-coast and the mountains, this storm is sparing nobody. We've had crews around the state all day today tracking the forecast, the power outages, the damage, and the road conditions.
We are going to check in with all of them this half hour. And as we move into the evening and nighttime, snow and wind are sticking around, both cause for concern. Let's head to Casco, where meteorologist Keith Carson is with the latest forecast. Hi, Keith.
Hi, Brian and Amanda. Yeah, we're here in Casco. We were driving on 302 and just observing all these side roads that looked variations of what you're seeing behind me here, the heavy wet snow pulling down trees. The good news is the main roads do seem pretty passable. That's a positive. But one thing that strikes you is that there's so many people without power here that basically you're not seeing any lights. I mean, I know it's still daylight, but there's just no lights around, few people on the road, and a lot of people trying to clean up. There's a couple right down there in an SUV, black SUV. They're trying to get to their house. They're waiting for a buddy with a chainsaw to come from the other side of the street and cut that pine that fell across so they could get to their yard itself. Weather-wise, the good news is when we look at the radar, what you're going to see is there are still some patches of snow for sure, and we're going to see snow through tonight off and on. But the teeth of this storm is greatly being reduced over the next few hours as the low moves from the ocean basically to being stacked over the land. And once it gets stacked, it loses a lot of its dynamics. And so we see periods of light snow, even some moderate bursts, but our real heavy accumulating stuff is going to be harder and harder to come by as we head into the evening. In addition to that, once the low becomes stacked, we lose some of the wind gusts, because any gust of wind, and we're having just a little breeze right now, is causing more tree limbs to fall. So the storm going in the right direction. Obviously, guys, we've talked extensively about how it's going to be a long restoration effort because of the amount of trees that fell under this heavy wet snow. Brian and Amanda?
All right, Keith, with a look of what it's like in a lot of neighborhoods tonight.